Hello, everyone. I am trying out something new. This is what my basement looks like. Well, no, it's not. It'll say it's April 16th, 2022. And what is on my mind? I'm going to do a follow-up on my last video, which was about that book, Famine. I believe it was 2004. And the technology has changed, but some of the stories are still putting out articles. Ironically, this one came out the day after I posted my video on the book Famine. The earth only has a 3-month supply of food. How 90 days could change our world. We are far closer to a potential global catalysm than most people would dare to imagine. Right now, leaders from all across the political spectrum are openly warning us that a worldwide food crisis is coming. But when people in the Western world hear of such warnings, most of them assume that it'll be something that affects just poor people in Africa and Asia. Unfortunately, that will not be the case this time around. We truly are in unprecedented territory, and we're going to see things happen in the months ahead that once would have been absolutely unthinkable. Global hunger has already been steadily rising the past couple of years due to the COVID pandemic, and now a confluence of events here in 2022 threaten to create a true global nightmare. At this moment, we are still eating food that was previously grown, but it is the food that will not be grown in the months ahead that'll be the real problem. And so my comment on that sentence is I bought potatoes yesterday, but they were grown last fall. Since you're from Idaho and we know potatoes don't grow in the wintertime. So they've been in not cold storage, but cool storage. Then, of course, you have your frozen peas, frozen green beans. And as of today, although I had looked at the store the last couple of weeks and have not seen very much fresh vegetables, that along the Mexican border, the Mexican truck drivers have barricaded the border, and they are not going to go into the United States to bring us our local salads, which most people don't realize that most of the broccoli and lettuce coming in right now comes from Mexico, especially with all the seaport and embargo plans that I really don't know how they sign these mandates. And then the next day it's like, it's all in place. It's all been going on. It takes months for these things to go down the supply chain, but I suppose we've been kind of sheeple the last 3 years. They can put masks on us and convince us to take a healthy jab in the arm, and well, that's for another story. To continue this one, there's not much more left, and this is the only thing I'm going to talk about. Although if I get a request, I may read a part of the book Famine that talks about how to properly set up a chicken house for like hundreds of thousands of birds. I had some cousins in Arkansas, and they got into that with Tyson, and they didn't like it because it's a 24/7 hour job that lasts for approximately 6 to 8 weeks. And then they have to clean out the coop, sterilize it, and then they get a new crop of chicks. or that's the way it used to be. I'm sure you all have heard that North Carolina has said you can sell what chicks you have, but after that, no more chicks for sale in North Carolina, and no backyard chickens here in Lee Summit. You can have 5 hens. But of course, if one of them starts crowing, he has to be removed. All right, here it is. Repeating, the whole planet Earth operates a 90-day food supply. That means that once we stop making food, humans run out of food in 90 days. It is estimated that approximately 7.9 billion people currently live on the planet, and feeding everyone is a real challenge, even if everything goes perfectly. Unfortunately, global conditions have been much less than perfect for the past couple of years. And Friedberg says that the new global energy crisis has pushed the cost of key fertilizer components to levels that are absolutely insane. Here's another comment I have from something I read earlier today. The railroads are on strike, or for some reason refusing to ship fertilizer into the Midwest. And as everyone knows, 80% of fertilizer consumption is used in the Midwest. Now, the price of nitrogen has gone from $200 to $1,000. The price of potassium has gone from $200 to $700. And the price of phosphorus has gone from $250 to $700. Now, I don't know if that is a ton. I'm guessing it's a ton that has not been bagged and put in smaller bags and sold to the public, as they're talking about selling to, there's not so many small farmers anymore. They're mainly corporate growers. So if they're raising the price like that, they probably own the company that's selling it. So now it is so expensive to grow a crop that a lot of the farmers around the world are pulling acres out of production. So they're going to grow less this year than they would have otherwise, because it is so expensive and they cannot access fertilizer, he explains. Food supplies are going to go down and it's going to be catastrophic. Many farmers all over the world will try to grow food without fertilizer this year. That will result in less food being grown, not planted, but your production goes down without those 3 main ingredients. But of course, you need micronutrients. That's what your body needs. But the other 3 major fertilizer components is what causes your plants to grow. And in the latest video, and I watched this guy too, Chris Martenson, compared rice plants that were grown with phosphorus to rice plants that were not given any phosphorus. I was absolutely blown away, he says. And I remember years ago when they were complaining about all the phosphorus that was in our laundry detergent. And I also remember when I was growing up, we ran our washing machine water, used water, out to the garden. And it grew really great in the areas that got the most phosphorus. As global food production drops precipitously, there's simply not enough food for everyone in the months ahead. So if you're stocking up and you want to eat like normal and you have the money, I recommend that when you go shopping, you put on your baggy clothes and act like you're losing weight. Otherwise, somebody will get jealous, especially when you buy that big old steak. Of course, the wealthy nations will buy up what is available, driving up prices in the process, and poorer nations will be left out. In fact, this is already happening. In March of 2022, the global price of food rose at the fastest monthly pace ever recorded. which of course that's not going to keep up with less than 1% interest on your money in the bank. March food prices index from the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United States printed 159.3 points in March, up 19.15 points from March, when it had already reached record highs. The index was up 33.6% from the same time last year. So I don't know how they figure these points, but just by looking at the numbers, it looks like things are getting expensive. The March price in food prices is a stunning 12.64%, almost double the previous month's surge. And I, for one, since I eat for one, my food bill has gone up from $40 a week to $60 a week. And I eat a lot of beans and rice. So I can just imagine what a family of five must be going through. Food riots have already begun in some parts of the globe. For example, you can see a clip from a rioting in Peru. It is on YouTube. In the months ahead, it is only going to get worse, in his opinion and my opinion. Thanks to the war I can't say that it's going to go on YouTube because that word is being censored. Let's see. In the area of conflict in Central Eastern Europe, where they're shooting at people, the price of wheat has gone up 20% since last month alone. And just from what I've been watching, since I'm in America, I have to say, if the aggressors take the port of Odessa, that'll completely cut off the country in which Odessa is in from being able to ship any wheat out of the country. But they may need it. This confrontation came at planting season. Now it's rainy and muddy. And you don't know where those mines have been planted, if they've been planted at all. The war has helped push cereal prices up 17% over the past month, with the closure of ports throttling wheat and maize exports from the area of confrontation. Russia exports have been slowed by financial and shipping problems. World wheat prices soared by 19.7% during March, while maize prices posted a 19.1 month-on-month increase, hitting a high record, along with barley and sorghum. I know most of you here in the USA don't have barley and sorghum for breakfast. But a lot of people in the world does. And I'm going to skip through this because it's naming the two countries in conflict. More of that. Oh, here. Let's get into talking about the bird flu pandemic, which I believe is called the H1N5. And as a result, you'll notice at Easter, the eggs were up around $3 a dozen. I think 2 years ago, you could buy them at 88 cents a dozen. This new and deadly, highly infectious avian flu is forcing U.S. farmers to kill millions of egg-laying hens, reducing the country's egg supply, driving prices up. My comment on that is the CDC is using those PCR tests to inspect the birds, and has been shown in the past, those tests are invalid. But the government has the ability, I'm not sure that the law is behind them. But if they say your flock is infected, they have the right to exterminate them. And they have done quite a bit of that in Iowa. I don't know about New Hampshire, where the president is from. He was in Iowa at one of the ethanol plants. And while he was talking about how his home state is one of the largest egg and poultry production centers, it looked like a bird pooped on his shoulder. You can't make this stuff up, folks. On Thursday, retailers paid between $2.80 and $2.89 for a dozen large grade A white eggs in the Midwest, which is my area. And of course, I know personally brown eggs are more expensive. According to the USDA's daily Midwest Regional Egg Report, which you can look that up, USDA Egg Report, that's more than double the roughly $1.20 to $1.25 they cost in March, according to data compiled by Brian Ernest, lead protein industry analyst at CoBank, which provides financial services to agribusiness. Now, isn't that interesting? Lead protein industry analyst for a financial service to agribusiness. Moving on. Oh, that is extremely alarming. So what is going to happen if this pandemic continues to wipe out millions of chickens every month? And by the way, there weren't very many chickens for sale at the store here lately. Meanwhile, certain shortages that have been simmering for a long time are now reaching critical levels. For example, and I assume I can mention Walgreens as long as I don't advertise them, has announced that it is going to start rationing baby formula. A national shortage of baby formula brought on by the pandemic-related supply chain issues has forced U.S. retailers, such as the mentioned retail chain, to ration the all-important product. The company, the second largest pharmacy store chain in the United States behind CVS, said Friday that amid the supply chain crunch, it is limiting customers to 3 infant and toddler formula products purchases at a time. Well, that won't do any good. I mean, anybody who has a baby and has a friend, their friend is going to go buy some for them. But I don't make the rules. According to the optimists, things are supposed to be getting back to normal by this point. But instead, are things getting worse? According to the Daily Mail, 29% of all top selling baby formulas are out of stock at stores across the nation. And this is just the beginning. Everyone agrees that the global food crisis is going to intensify in the months ahead. And David Friedberg is trying to warn us about what could happen if widespread shortages occur. Let's see, we're about down to the end of it. This is the lead up to the story. I don't know about death. There will be famine. Famine is to be short of calories. There will be strategic reserves released, but it won't be enough. We won't have enough. The way supply chains are set up, there will not be enough. As you know, with any market, when there's a scarcity, people come in and buy at a faster rate. So this is market dynamic. It is not people are physically hoarding loaves of bread, but commodity traders, countries, strategic reserves start buying up what they can get to prepare for the famine. And that's why commodity prices are at an all-time high. prices go even higher and it kicks other people out of the market. This whole thing may get ugly fast. We've been warned over and over about this coming, like I mentioned in that book that I read back in 2004, which I will probably next video, if I don't do the one on the peppers, because after a frost 2 nights ago, I think it's about time to get them going. You may have noticed that my articles have been longer than usual lately, and that is because there is so much information that I need to share with you. And this is being originally published at the Economic Collapse blog. And it's been reposted with permission and also to spread the message. So that's what I've done with this video. We are entering a full-blown planetary emergency, and I am trying to do my best to sound the alarm. Unfortunately, most of the population is not taking this crisis seriously. I bet you do after this weekend, I say, because when I went to the store, because I usually go on Fridays, the people were just staring at the prices of the canned goods, what meat there was, how many people are going to be coming over. We don't know for sure. We need to have plenty. Well, I don't want to have too much at these prices. And those are the type of things I hear. So many people out there are fully convinced that they will always be able to rely on the system. A lot of them will continue to believe that as the system literally collapses all around them. And this article by Michael Schneider, Economic Collapse blog, April 12th, 2022. And I'm sure he would appreciate it if you would go over there and subscribe to his channel. Well, folks, that's about all I know. And about my last video, somebody actually believed that backdrop was my new house. I hope you don't believe my basement looks like this. See you all later. Over and out.